going on, Jack Sauce? Here we are. What are we? Day 17 of the 2023 Bitter Pops Advent Calendar, and it is this guy's birthday here. Jax is now 9 years old. That's what he's got to say about that. He is a little out of control right now. He actually, seriously, dude? We have steak going right now. Yeah, he gets steak. It's a 9-year tradition. Now he gets steak on his birthday. He's very, very excited about it. For whatever reason, he just knows. He knows his is in the sous vide. Of course, I get my steak. Carol's going to get her steak because, you know, it's a family thing, if you will, right? But steaks are going, so I figured it's probably time to do day 17 and have ourselves a delicious Sunday beer. Bears game was heartbreaking. Being a Chicago guy, you know I'm a Bears fan, and man, it was heartbreaking. Let's just get into this. I'm not even going to talk about it. Whatever. We'll have a better draft pick. It's so stupid, Cleveland. I'm in a fantasy league with a bunch of Cleveland guys, and it's been an interesting day, let's just say. Day 17. Here we go. Jax, you ready? I'm going to throw it this way so you don't take the camera. You're going to take the camera out, aren't you? No, you're good. All right. Day 17. Let's see what we're doing. What a day. It's his birthday. He's being a knucklehead. Yeah, it's just been a weekend. All right, guys, we're doing Crooked Stave. Their Vieille Saison. Crooked Stave, Vieille Saison. I've heard of these guys for some reason. Saison ale aged in oak barrels. Well, they're from Colorado. They've been around since 2010, as it says there. So that part is easy. Crooked Stave. I know this name, and I believe it's because it's the Colorado brewery that's crazy with the wild ales and barrel aging and whatnot. I think, if I'm not mistaken, the guy that opened this place up is like a mad scientist. He actually wrote a master's thesis on the Brett yeast. Yeah, we're not going to go through the long name and having to write it down. We're just going to call it the Brett yeast strains. If I'm not mistaken, he literally wrote a master's thesis on Brett yeast strains. Vieille, that's how you say it. I believe that's like a violin or something like that, if I'm not mistaken, like an old school violin. And then we've talked about Saison before. Saison meaning seasonal. The history of these beers, of course. I think I've said it came from France, but actually it's coming from Belgium, southern Belgium, and a French-speaking area of Belgium, where they would make these in the winter, so they would be ready for the seasonal workers that would come and work for them in the summertime, harvesting their fields. They would use whatever they had on hand, grains that they were growing, fruit, spices, whatever, adding to the beers. They'd be brewed in farmhouse, and of course, they were wild yield ales, and they were just the wild yeasts that were on the farm would be what ended up fermenting the beers. And that's kind of what they've captured in modern day Saison, if you will, is that they're still using Brett, hence the guy, master thesis. Of course, he's making Saisons, wild ales, but the Brettanomyces, I did it again. I shouldn't have even tried to go there with it. But the Brett yeasts, other Saison style yeasts that are real high in fruity esters, people literally will take them from different parts of barn or their brewery or all their home or wherever. Like I've talked about when we did Urban Artifact, they found their favorite yeast strain coming from their bell tower. So they'll find these wild yeast strains, and with modern day technology and science, of course, we can culture those and control it a little bit more. Now, what's really interesting to me is that the fact that this is a barrel-aged Saison. So I wonder how long it ages. I know he has a big-time barrel aging program. If I'm not mistaken, Crooked Stave pretty much ages everything, at least a little bit in barrel. It doesn't say how long it's in there for, but I'm interested to see how that flavor goes. Saison's Pilsner malt generally is the base, so they're dry, but a lot of times they're going to add caramel malts, give it a little bit more of that malty sweetness. Tons of fruity esters, of course, coming from the yeast, because it's all about the yeast in these things. They'll add other spices, orange peel a lot of time to add flavors and whatnot. A little bit of hops, a lot of the noble hops, Hallertau or whatnot, to give it a little bit of a bitterness at the end to kind of round it out. I'm really, really curious about the barrel aging on this. Stave itself, Stave, it's the actual wooden bar, if you will, or plank, if you will, wooden planks that they put together, put the copper rings around, and that's how you make the barrel. So Crooked Stave is kind of a great name, if you will. If he's kind of doing some stuff with barrel aging, he's just kind of a little eschewed from traditional barrel aging. That's my guess. That's where I'm going with it. I'm going to stick with it. I think it's a good guess. Let's open this thing up. No car crashes outside tonight. That makes me feel a lot better. Got a great night's sleep. Bears they ruined the day. The Bears Stupid, stupid Bears. Draft pick. That's all I'm going to keep thinking about. All right, so Saison, Session Ales, they can be all sorts of different colors. It is really open to interpretation, whoever's making it. Once again, this one's very, very clear. The last one we did had that a lot more of the caramel malts and had that darker color to it. But that is a very, very light beer. It's beautiful. Very, almost star bright if you were doing wine or blinding a wine, except for the fact it's not a hard, it's really not filtered, man. That is a muddy beer, man. It's really, really pretty. Saisons, they tend to not have a hard, their flocculation isn't like super hardcore, and they tend to be that way, but I really like the looks of this thing. On the nose, man, that's cool. Lots of pear, grapefruit galore. There's caramel notes. Somehow grapefruit and caramel really works well on the nose. A little bit of toasted grain. Back to that pear, man. That's really cool. Definitely a little bit of spice. Some sort of baking spices, if you will, in there. Let's try this. I'm so intrigued by this. Oh, yeah, man. Okay. That's a cool beer. So aging anything in oak, you're doing that for flavor, doing it to build body, tannin structure and whatnot in it. And there's definitely a little bit of vanilla coming through this, depending on what oak you use, depending on the size of the pores in the oak and whatnot. Different flavors are going to kick. The amount of the oakiness or the woodiness is going to kick. This is a very, I would imagine, French oak, because there's a little bit of vanilla coming out. French oak tends to have a smaller pore too, so you don't get a ton of it. It's just kind of a subtle oakiness. That's really, really cool. Now, the rest of this beer. The grapefruit, tons of grapefruit. The pear I lose. Get it all over the nose. The pear and caramel almost I lose. There's not a lot of malty sweetness. This is definitely a tart, leaning on borderline sour. Tons of funky barnyard quality to it. Mustiness, mushroom kind of qualities, which really, really work well. It goes into a nice bitter finish and very tart. So there are hops, but the Brett yeasts are definitely in play here because you're getting that funk, you're getting the fruity esters with the grapefruit and the citrus, and then you're getting that funk all well balanced. This is a really out there beer. It's delicious. Absolutely delicious. But it's out there, man. Crooked Stave, huh? I'm going to check these guys out. I got to look for these guys. I don't see them anywhere. I don't know. Granted, I haven't been looking. I guess that could be part of the reason, but I'm looking for them tomorrow. We're going shopping tomorrow, beer shopping. Funky beer, man. Guys, Crooked Stave, have a great week. It's coming. Christmas, man. This time next year, geez. Next week, it's going to be Christmas Eve. I hope you have plans. I hope you get to spend it with your family, loved ones, your friends. For those of you in the industry working, I hope it's just an amazing night. I know we're getting a little ahead of ourselves here. We still have a week to go, but cheers. Funky beer, man. Holy cow.